We are streaming. 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 We are dreaming. We are streaming. We are dreaming. We are dreaming. We are streaming. We are streaming. We are streaming. We are streaming. We are dreaming. We are streaming. Okay. All right, guys. I think that we are streaming. Cool, cool, cool. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Happy, happy, happy. Joy, joy, joy. Come down here and shout out to your boy. First off, I want to say before we kick off this live stream that you guys are amazing. I love you. I do have some live dates coming up on the East Coast. Link to tickets for that down below if you're in Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut, or close. And I also want to say shout out to Joe Rogan, because rest in peace to Joe Rogan. Shout out to him, resting in peace. Good guy. He'll be greatly missed. And we loved you, buddy. We loved you. If you guys don't already know, this is our Q&A live stream, our every other week Q&A live stream. I missed last week because I was not feeling too good and I was super swamped, super busy. But I came back this week. So came back this week to do it. Rate the wall 1 to 10. It's probably a 9 or a 10. Will I be doing a top 50 albums of the decade? I might be doing 100 top albums of the decade, honestly, next year. Not this year, but next year. Show feat. If we can get to $20,000 in money made in this stream, I will do a feat reveal. And also, when the channel gets to 2 million subscribers, you guys will be getting a face reveal. Okay, so do remember that. Let's see, another one over here. Will we see reviews of Rich Brian? Yes. BJ the Chicago Kid, maybe not. Chris Brown and Nas. There's a Chris Brown. I know there's Chris Brown. There's a Nas new. Oh, the Lost Tapes. I don't know. I still got to listen to. They should have stayed lost. They should have stayed lost. I still got to listen to it more times if I was going to do a review, but I don't know if it's worth it. I really don't know if it's worth it. The Chris Brown, no. The Chris Brown is trash. He's trash. But yeah, I'm most likely going to be doing a top 100 albums of the decade when next year rolls around. I'm probably going to take advantage of the fact that the start of the year is usually kind of dead as far as album releases, so I was going to take some time and do a top albums list, worst albums list, and like a top songs list, and then leave it at that. All right. So you guys know this is our every other week Q&A live stream. I'm going to be taking your questions and super chats. Going to be blowing through as many of them as possible. Remember, the more that you donate, the more likely it is that I will get to your question, because the $5 ones do tend to disappear quickly. Anything that gets a 20 obviously gets a ow! And I feel like that's everything that you guys need to know. Cool. You know the rules. I know the rules. Let's go. Let's do it. We have Derek over here, Derek Wadas, who I know has popped by the stream before. Thank you very much for coming through again. Ow! Question opinion number 1. By calling yourself the internet's busiest music nerd, you should review all music that drops each year rather than picking and choosing. You don't have to review all the music to be busy. You can just review a great deal of it and be busy. And choosing what you want and what you don't, like NF's newest LP. Well, the NF's newest LP, I'm surprised I'm getting so many requests for it, because I feel like given his rhymes and given what he does, that you would know what I think of that record. You guys already know I think Logic is corny. You guys already know I think Hobson is corny. And that album is corny for a lot of the same reasons that those records are corny. So honestly, my opinions of those artists' records would most likely carry over onto the NF. It's not a very good record. If you're somebody who thinks that rapping about how sad you are really fast makes for a good, compelling album, then I guess you'll enjoy it, but I personally don't get anything from that. Is Philip DeFranco a spineless centrist? I think Philip does try to land on the center of some controversial issues to not make people pissed at him, but I truly don't know what the guy's political views are. Most of the time when I see him commenting on things and trying to land in the center, it's usually like drama stuff or news items. I don't know what the man's political views are. I can't say. Can you do a review of Toby Lou's new album, Live on the Ice? I haven't heard that. I'll put it in my phone, which reminds me, I did not try out the suggestions from the last live stream yet. I know you didn't like the albums of theirs that I reviewed, a recent Starfucker album. I haven't tried that one, but I've never been a fan of their stuff. So, I mean, I could remind myself to give it a shot, but if I don't end up liking it, I'm not going to be surprised. Have I listened to Phantasma by Cornelius? One of my favorites. I have not, so I cannot claim on that, but I do love your Slippy Icon. Thoughts on Hero and Smash? Some really cool tricks. I think the whole down B tool package or tool kit that you were given with Hero is neat. I think there's a lot of hidden potential in that. It's kind of like the Monados, but like way more insane in some respects. But there are some of them that are pretty easy to avoid if you don't want to get hit with them or not have anything to do with them. And his neutral absolutely sucks. So, I mean, you've got to be really smart and tricky and get into the mind of your opponent to pull a lot of stuff off. There's also that bounce effect, which does kind of piss me off as a Pac-Man main, but still. Oops. Okay, here we go. Screw Simon and Garfunkel. Steely Dan is the GOAT American songwriting duo. Simon and Garfunkel are better than Steely Dan. Steely Dan are fine. They're just not for me. You know, I'm just not much into the soft rock, yacht rock kind of thing. And as far as like, you know, jazz isms, you know, being inserted into rock and pop rock, I'm much more like a Weather Report kind of guy. Not to insinuate they made pop rock, but let's see. Ow! As a YouTuber who constantly releases great content, what are some hurdles that you must go over to release content to your standards? Love you, Anthony. Just making sure the technicals like audio and video and color and light are always good. Just making sure the script for the review is tight. Making sure that the opinion makes sense. Kind of checking it against my bro Austin, who also watches my reviews and says, you know, oh, this line doesn't make sense, or this line doesn't make sense, or, you know, he also says, you said this about the album, but you gave it this rating, and it doesn't quite feel like this rating, and then we might talk over that a little bit. So yeah, you know, that's a lot of stuff that we go over. You know, I essentially have a managing editor in a sense, you know, who works with me. You know, that and just making sure everything technically about the videos, that's just kind of the key to the consistency. And consistency is important when it comes to kind of building a YouTube channel. And I love you too. Ow! Check out Nova Miller, a Swedish pop sensation, 300 Entertainment. Whoa, 300 Entertainment? They're signing Swedish pop sensations now? Okay, that could be interesting. I'll pop it in the phone, check it out. Black Parade Classics Week review. Ow! Most likely. Do I think I'll ever do any videos, reviews on some synthwave acts like Gunship or The Midnight? I have talked about some synthwave in the past, but not at any great length. However, I have not heard of those two synthwave acts. I'll try them out and see what they have cooking up. Ow! Thank you, Angry Clown. But, you know, if they sound like most of the stuff, I may not have a lot to say about it. I mean, I do like the nostalgia that the genre brings generally, but I don't know. Outside of a few artists, I haven't really like gotten blown away. And somebody asked about me reviewing the new Swain. I do plan on doing that. Oops. Get back over here. Do I think Yandi will be as revolutionary to hip-hop as College or 808s? I don't know. I have no expectations at this point. I really have no expectations. Outside of Kanye, is probably going to go for something completely different, weird, out there, something we don't expect. It's what he does every time. And because of that, I can't make a prediction. You know, I can't. I honestly can't. Favorite Flying Lotus album? It's either Los Angeles or You're Dead. It's one of those. All right, so is The Big Day of Zero based on Chance's prior discography actually worse than Dead Pets? Yeah, I think it's worse than Dead Pets. Also, I don't know if you saw Chance's wiki page got annihilated after my review. Yeah, I saw that. Internet vandalism, but, you know, it is what it is. Will I ever do an Aphex Twin worst to best? I am planning on doing that eventually. I do think that's going to be my next worst to best, and then after that, a bigger one like Pink Floyd, which does tend to get a lot of requests. Ow! Kyle, hi Melon. Have I ever heard of the comedy rap duo Tiny Meat Gang? I have. Made of YouTuber. Yes, I know those guys. We've had a bit of a back and forth online. I'm not crazy about their stuff. I don't think it's the funniest thing in the world, but I support them. You know, they seem like good dudes. Black Bear, though, I think is kind of corny. I don't get the Black Bear interest or hype. But, you know, I do like Noel. I do like Cody. And one day the three of us will make a porn together. Yo, have you heard of the American psych band Moon Goons? I think I might have put it in my phone last time when somebody suggested it during the last live stream, which again, I haven't gone through those suggestions yet. I'll put it in my phone, I think again, just to remind myself. Big influence from King Gizzard, OCs. I mean, that sounds cool. I'm looking forward to the new OCs record. There is that. They're starting to make some waves, online site communities. Okay, sounds cool. Hey, Anthony, I recommended you Flora by Hiroshi Yoshimura a couple of live streams ago. I was wondering if I ever got the chance. I may have, but I don't recall what the music sounds like off the top of my head. Wondering if I ever got the chance to let also Boards of Canada or Awetecker. If I had to pick between the two, I think I'm a little bit more of an Awetecker guy. You know, I think compositionally and conceptually, I'm more into Awetecker, though I understand why Boards of Canada aesthetically for a lot more people are probably sexier and more appealing. What are the first 4 or 5 10 out of 10 albums that come to your mind outside of your big 5 contemporary 10s? So, okay, so like other albums that I think are 10 out of 10 that come to mind that I have not like, okay, so like, I don't know, maybe like Wire, Pink Flag, you know, Mad Villainy, 36 Chambers, Vespertine, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, I think is a 10. Trying to think of what else off the top of my head. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but those are a few. Anthony, please yeah, I am going to review that. I'm going to do that. Thoughts on the new Angel Olsen song? I shared it, but I haven't listened to it yet, but I will be talking about it in the next weekly track roundup, obviously, so look out for that. CJ Hughes, ow! Thank you so much for the 20. God damn. Let's go. Do a car seat headrest concert review if I went to the New Haven show. I didn't go to the New Haven show. I wanted to go to the New Haven show. I'm so pissed I didn't go to the New Haven show. But I had some, you know, family shit going on that night, and I just didn't end up going. I am sad I didn't go. And I was offered, you know, hey, like, they really want you to come down. They're fans of the channel. And I was like, oh, I do want to come down, but I just wasn't able to make it. And I'm sad about it. I am sad about it. But shout out to Will and Car Seat Headrest. You know, shout out to them. Good band, good records. Looking forward to the next one. Have I ever considered doing reviews of other mediums as a book reviewer? I thought about it here and there, and I do enjoy doing my little review roundups of Black Mirror when they do come out with a new season. But honestly, I don't know if I have the time or even the will or the ability because... you know, I'm so devoted to music. Music takes up a lot of time, and there's a lot of music out there, and I love music. You know, I do love music. But maybe one day I'll give up music entirely, and I'll just review, I don't know, pasta. I'll just review macaroni. I'll become a vegan food reviewer. Check out the band Klaatu. Whoa. Okay. I've never heard of that band. So... And sometimes I see names and I'm like, oh yeah, someone suggested that name to me before. I've never fucking heard of Klaatu. That sounds kind of dark. I don't know. I'll check it out. Put it in my phone. Hey, Tony. Ow! Thank you very much, Greg. Just released a single called Make Way everywhere last week with a project in scope. Would appreciate your thoughts on the record. Love what you do. I put it in my phone. I'll check it out later. Again, ow! Thank you. How hyped am I for the new Tool record? Very hyped! I hope it's good. Hope it doesn't suck. There's a very high bar of expectation here. Better not suck. Hey man, will I ever review unsigned unknown artists and musicians? I do, and I have. I know it's not what I review most of the time, but when an unsigned or a relatively unknown artist or musician stumbles across, or rather I stumble across their stuff and it blows me away and I think it's worth sharing, I think it's worth talking about, I do. Like SoundCloud or YouTube artists, again, I have. You know, it's just not something I do on a regular basis. But, you know, I do have those reviewing your music segments. I'm going to try to put out another tweet soon so we could do another one next week. And if I didn't already say it, ow, Citizen Warwick. I see how it is. What do I think of communist slow jams? How does it compare to the rest of JPEG Mafia stuff? listen to Veteran first. And if you listen to Veteran and you like it, you can go back to Communist Slow Jams and appreciate it despite it being rougher around the edges. You know what I mean? It's still got some interesting ideas on it. It's just not as good. Just like you did with Pinata and So Far Gone, am I planning on revisiting older projects on their 5 and 10 year anniversary? Yes, I am. I just haven't had the inspiration for making another record, sort of, another review for another video, rather, in that vein. And I know you gave 19 and not 20, but still. Ow! Hey, Danilo. Melon, what did I think of my Bossa Nova video? I shared it, but I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but I like your delivery. I like your passion. I think that you need to keep it up. And guys, if I didn't already talk about this earlier, and you should have, Danilo, you should have tried to mention the YouTube link in here. But Danilo has a YouTube channel where he's talking about Brazilian music predominantly and doing reviews and coverage over there of Brazilian music. And he just did a review of what he classifies as the best Bossa Nova album on his channel. I know I've put it out there on Twitter. You can look for it there. You can probably look for the best Bossa Nova album in the YouTube search and find it as well. So shout out to Danilo. Hopefully more people like you are coming out of the woodwork as a result of this and covering more Brazilian music. Favorite Tool album? I would say my actually I agree with your personal favorite right there. That is my personal favorite, though I do think that has to do a lot with the time in which I came into Tool's music, but I do think that is my personal favorite. The Lateralis is still fire. Kyle, ow! Well, I reviewed the new YBN Corday album. The review for that is actually going up today, so you can look for that today. That's going up today. In my review for Oceana by the Smashing Pumpkins, you suggest Adore is not as hot as their old work. Does that mean it wasn't as successful or not as good? Both, but only to a very small degree. It's still a good album. I'd like to hear more from you on it. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a stylistic change of pace and that it's a little darker and a little gothier. It's not a bad LP. It's just not as great as Siamese Dream or as Melancholy. That's it. It's still a good record. Will I make a top 10 memes of the decade? Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. Top 10, it would have to be music memes, but I don't know. I have to think about it. As the college dropout classic review also ranked my 10. Did I do a college dropout classic review? I didn't. I haven't done that. I haven't. Well, no, I guess I haven't. But most of what I would say in that is in my Kanye worst to best. So if you really want my deep thoughts on that record, it's pretty much in the worst to best. Don't see much of the deathcore on your channel. Why don't I review any deathcore bands in the future? Or don't see much of the deathcore on your channel. Would I review any deathcore bands in the future? Depends on the band, depends on the record, depends on the sound, depends on how much I'm into it. The new Fuming Mouth record I talked about in the new Why You Know review, and that has some elements of deathcore in it, but I wasn't too crazy about it. Again, depends on the record. It's a very niche genre. It's a little one-dimensional. So it's rare an album in the genre sticks out to me. Jake Payne, ow! Coming out to the Brooklyn show, can't wait. My 50-year-old dad loves watching you and texts me every time you upload. What's my opinion on Rex Orange County and Dominic? Assuming you mean Dominic Fike. Dominic, I think, has promise. I'm looking forward to his next record. Rex Orange County, I'm very much looking forward to his next album. His last single was actually really good. So again, the 20. Ow! Thank you, Jake. And shout out to your dad. I think you might have sent this in twice, or this is a glitch. Ow! Heard Maudlin of the Wells Bath album. I've heard the band. You should definitely, I know Toby's stuff. Each song goes from really harsh black metal to really interesting angelic prog and the inverse and Fishman's. Yes, maybe I'll talk about Fishman's more at some point in the future, but you guys got to realize that the interest in Fishman's is a recent phenomenon. It's not something like older people, even though they are an older band, like grew up with. What pop punk track to you is the most pop punk? I think it's Blink-182 song, The Parking Lot. I think What's My Age Again, or even Basket Case by Green Day, is maybe the most preeminent pop punk song in my view. I'm genuinely curious. Big fan of Pearl Jam, and I want to hear your thoughts on them as a band. More professional standpoint. Don't be afraid to hurt my feelings. As far as the big grunge acts of the era, I think they're a little overrated. Are they as edgy, or are they as versatile, or are they as gutsy as a Nirvana? Or are they as like dynamic or as texturally appealing as like a Soundgarden? In my opinion, no. But they have some good songs though. The solid songwriting I think is kind of the key to the Pearl Jam formula. I just happen to find their discography and Eddie Vedder as a singer just pretty underwhelming. I'm not that into them. And keep in mind, I was alive during their peak of relevancy and listened to a lot of rock bands that were popular during that era, like Nirvana, like Red Hot Chili Peppers, like The Offspring. And I was just never a big Pearl Jam guy. Hot take. I know it depends on the song, but what do I think is more positive? A song where people are like, a song where there are like fire features, but a weak input from the main artist or vice versa. I would rather weak. I mean, if we're looking at the song in the vacuum, neither really matters. I mean, both could be good, but if we're talking about in the context of the artist's album, I would rather a weak performance from the guest than the artist whose song it technically is, What are my thoughts on Swedish melodic death metal scene? I mean, a lot of classics have come out of it over the years, but it's not anything I'm all that into these days. Would love to hear your sexy opinions on old works from Dark Tranquillity, In Flames, Soilwork, and Forth. In Flames has some great records in their back catalog, though I have not. I'm going to put this in my phone because I actually haven't heard Dark Tranquillity, so I don't know. I'm going to give them a try. I'm going to give them a shot, Carl, and see what they have to offer. Hey, Anthony. Do I think the greatest hits albums are dead in popular music? I think it's not an in-demand format right now because of streaming, because of playlists. It's not as necessary as it used to be. But I still think compilations are necessary for uncovering and unearthing more obscure artists and genres and collections of songs. But like nobody needs a Taylor Swift greatest hits CD. You know what I mean? But Light in the Attic Records recently put out this great city pop compilation on vinyl that I purchased, and that's you wouldn't find that anywhere else, than other than on their label. So compilations I think still serve a purpose, but and greatest hits can still serve a purpose, but not in the same way they used to. Hey Melon, a big fan. Meet you at the Free New Haven show, or met you. Wanted to know your thoughts on The Sailor by Rich Brian. I am going to be reviewing that soon. Review will probably come out first thing next week. I apologize for the delay, but it will happen. It is on my to-do list. And I love you too. Tiff Spearman, thank you for the 20. Ow! Any searing hot takes on 65 Days of Static? They have a new album coming out in September, and I am hyped. I'm glad you're hyped. As far as like third wave post rock bands, I've always thought 65 Days was pretty like not stupendous. I don't know. I've never really gotten that deep into their stuff. I never ever could ever. And that was during a time when I was really, really, really into post rock, and some of their earlier stuff during the blog boom of the late 2000s I thought was cool, but they just kind of went on to be a band that didn't really do much for me, honestly. But I'm glad you're excited for the record. What are my thoughts on Future's 2015 mixtape Monster? Many fans think it's his best project, and I've yet to review. Yeah, I didn't really cover it, mostly because I wasn't really big into Future during that time, and I'm still not really big into Future now. I think a lot of my criticisms of his work generally also apply to Monster, though I will say that I do think that the instrumentals and I do think the instrumentals on that record are a bit darker, and Future's delivery on that track is a bit more aggressive, but not so much I'm just like, whoa, this is like, whoa. I'm still not that crazy into it, frankly. Oh, gotta go back. Here we go. I got that one. Blink 182 answered that one earlier. Thank you, Angry Clown 1990. Again, ow! Thoughts on the Neil Cicierega EP Nature Tapes? I haven't heard it yet. In my opinion, it's a lot catchier and funnier than Spirit Phone, and the production is on par too. All right. Again, I haven't tried it yet. Is that new? Thoughts on the... Yeah, I'm assuming it's new. I haven't heard it yet. Neil is such a weird figure. Also, Needle Juice is doing a remaster of it as well. Okay, so it's probably old if they're doing a remaster of it. I can't recall it. I don't think I've heard the whole thing, or I can't recall what of it I've heard or what it sounded like, so I apologize, Chris. So yeah, assuming from your messaging here, it does not sound like it's new. Hey, can I check out Habit I Claim by CSUN? Their new album, Spring, also should give your opinion of it. Okay, I mean, I can try to give it a try. No promises on a review now. I put it in my phone. I'll give it a shot. Can I rank my 10s? I think KSG would be last. I think TPAB would be first. Everything else would land somewhere else in the middle. Yeah, somewhere else in the middle there. Also, do I smoke weed? Because we got to roast together sometime. I don't, but maybe I'll make a special exception for you since you threw me the 20. Ow! And if I didn't do it for you too, Classic Cheese. Ow! Nick Beatty. Ow! Yo, Anthony, have I heard the new Sargent House Band Bliss track, Bad Weather? I don't think I've heard that track, but I know I've heard that band before. But if they have a new song out, I'll try to give it a try. Maybe it'll make it into the weekly track roundup if it's doing anything for me. What's my opinion on the Lou the Human album? I'm not liking the new direction too much. It's like way too airy and ethereal and like auto-tuned, and just wanted more bars out of the record. Though I get that this is kind of the prevailing trend, and I can see why he would move in that direction, but I'm not super crazy about it. I heard you mentioned American Boyfriend by Kevin Abstract a few times in Brockhampton Reviews. It seems you appreciated its ideas. What's my overall opinion on it, if I remember? I think it's a cool fusion of pop and singer-songwriter music and hip-hop. There are a few tracks on there I think are a little dull. Like, the production could be better, but I think it's a really cool fusion of sounds that I think it would be amazing if Kevin revisited again, in a future solo record. Daniel, ow! Hey, Melon, I love Chance, but despite seeing problems with The Big Day, I still have fun listening to the album. Do I think it's okay to overlook issues with an album because you like an artist? Love you. Yeah, sure. If you're just like a fan of an artist and you just enjoy that artist's work and you're getting enjoyment out of their album, whether there are flaws on it or not, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Do your thing. Enjoy it. Am I going to review Drake's latest compilation? I don't know. I really don't know. I have no idea at this point. I have other records kind of at my throat. The Willow Smith, Rich Brian, Tyler Childers, maybe Swain, Tomb Mold. I want to try to do some coverage of, I think. And there is that new Ty Segall out that I want to try. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. It could be some interest in it, but it is just like old stuff. It is just old stuff. So I don't even know what I'm really going to be saying. Like, oh, it's bad, but it's also just like old. I don't know. But maybe it's good. But still, even though it's still kind of old. Oops. Gosh darn it. Consarn it. Gosh darn it. What would I rate about Slipknot in Iowa? Also, ever heard any Aussie rap? Yeah, I've heard some Aussie rap. Not like super crazy about it, but I guess I'm just kind of yet to hear an artist that's blown me away. There's that artist TK. I do think she's pretty good and has a lot of potential. So shout out to TK. And Slipknot in Iowa, probably a 7 or an 8. Not as good as the big breakout record they came out with back in the day with the red cover. I know that's not their debut. I can't remember the name of their debut right now, but that's the record that I listened to a lot in high school. And Iowa I enjoyed a lot in high school too. Have you ever heard of Prison Religion? They're a mix of industrial, noise, hip-hop, sort of Death Grips-ish. Okay. Sounds like a cool name. I'll put it in my phone. Danilo, what are my thoughts on the pop music now? Thoughts on pop music now? I honestly feel more connection with Lorde, Billie Eilish, Carly Rae than a Britney Spears, J-Lo, Katy Perry. Yeah, I think there is something about pop stars today that are a bit more relatable, I guess. Is it because music is more true? I don't know if it's more true. I really don't know what it is. I cannot put my finger on it. But I think that the media back in the day, traditional media, allows for like a huge degree of separation between you and the artists. And I think the internet, social media, the massive amount of interviews that you could see with these people over and over and over, and I guess kind of casual context and situations that you see these people in, thanks to the internet, humanizes them a lot more. I guess I could say that. How do I feel about Jeremy Renner's wet fart of a music career? I cannot comment. I have no conception or idea of Jeremy Renner's music career. Feelings on the Hamilton soundtrack. I'm not big into big Broadway musical productions, especially recent ones. It's not really my thing. so I can't comment. But still, thank you for the 20. Ow! Hey, Anthony, any albums you could recommend that are similar to Little Simz, Gray Area? I don't know. The only other UK record, UK hip-hop record I'm loving right now is the new Slow Tie album, Nothing Great About Britain. I would highly recommend that, Noah, if you haven't heard it yet. Ow! But honestly, I can't really name any female rappers from the UK or any rap records from the UK right now that are just like that album, though. I would check out High Focus Records. There are a lot of UK rappers over there that tend to have more of like a boom bap, classic East Coast kind of sound to their instrumentals and flows. Hot take, if I post more about toxic masculinity cringe, you will get more women followers. Curtis Connor is a YT male with 1 million subscribers on YouTube. His base is 75% women. He makes fun of toxic masculinity on the regular. Well, I mean, I review music, so I don't know how much I need to be making videos about toxic masculinity. I mean, men do a lot of shitty shit, and toxic masculinity is arguably a thing. But I don't know how much I need to like base my content around it. I review music, and that's not to say that you shouldn't talk about social issues or that they're not worth addressing. Obviously, I try to do that on social media as much as I feel is necessary when something does hit my eyes that I feel like responding to. And obviously politics and social issues come up in my videos quite a bit, especially if it's relative or, relating to the topic of the song or the album. But I don't know, it's not really a thing I'm focusing on. Nor would I want to try to gain a female audience by just pandering to them by saying, okay, I'm going to talk about toxic masculinity now because that's all I'm going to talk about because I just want to pander. It's not really my thing either. I just want to talk about music. Do I think that any Beatles album is a 10? Yeah, sure. I mean, they've got at least one or two, probably. If not Abbey Road, what else, Come on, let's keep going. Would I ever come to Australia and do some live shows? I have before, but I haven't in a long time. The offer hasn't come. I've gone to Australia and done live shows twice. But again, I just haven't had an offer recently. Thoughts on Pitchfork? I don't know. I mean, they're just kind of a Condé Nast property now, which, I mean, is not a bad thing. I mean, as long as people are still there kind of writing from the heart. But the site isn't what it used to be. But what site is what it used to be after, like, a few decades of being in existence? But, regardless of what you think about Pitchfork or some Pitchfork review now, definitely big respect to them and Ryan and Chris and everybody else who was, there in the early days, because they very much paved the way for what I'm doing now, regardless of whether or not you like them. Thoughts on the Lil Keed album? I've not heard it, honestly. I've not heard it. I don't think I've heard a single Lil Keed song. I'll put it in my phone, but I haven't heard it. I can't say. What's my favorite Tool album since they're available? It's Anomina. That's my favorite one. And Lateralis probably comes in second. I feel like T-Pab and The Wall are very similar. Roger and Kendrick executed those albums in a very similar way. I mean, maybe. They're both concept records with narrative sort of progressions and flows. So, yeah. There's some parallels. Hey, Anthony, what are my thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy and Baby Driver popularizing classic rock and pop, iPod classics, and cassettes? Also, what's my favorite usage of licensed music in a film or TV? I think my favorite instances of that are either in Quentin Tarantino or in Wes Anderson movies, especially like the Royal Tenenbaums. But yeah, I think those are my favorite instances. And those two examples that you're talking about there of Guardians and Baby Driver, I think are both cool. I like that Guardians soundtrack. I like the songs that they put in it and the way they sort of implemented them in the film. In a way, sort of like, hey, this track is on my iPod, sort of music direction in movies is a little corny, but it's not terrible. And if I haven't done it already, ow, 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 ow. Feelings on the Hamilton soundtrack. Talked about this one a little bit earlier, but yeah, not too crazy about that and just a lot of modern Broadway musicals generally. Thanks for mentioning Yank Crime by Drive Like Jehu in your vinyl collection video. I listened to it recently. Great album. Yeah, it's an amazing noise rock album. It's really an amazing noise rock LP. I know Danilo's over here asking me about the top 5 Santana records. I cannot say. I cannot fucking say. What I will comment on is that I'm not well versed enough in the Santana discography to even comment on this. But what I will say is that his jazz fusion stuff in the 70s is fucking flames, is fucking flames. A lot of it is really good. The way that he sort of inserts, various shades of Latin music into that genre is great. Drake's new album cover looks awful. Yeah, actually, the Photoshop on the cover is trash, Dean. Ow! Thank you for the 20. Just saying, other than that, looks, do I think it's risky for artists to experiment with their sound and have variety despite what fans think of changes, even if it can... I mean, it is risky, but look at how much longevity you can get out of it if you pull it off and you do it well. Look at Kanye. Look at Kendrick. Their discographies, and even Drake, their discographies, they are relevant still to this day because they weren't stuck in one lane. They weren't stuck in one sound. They progressed and they evolved and they changed into something different over time. What do I think about Shoo Shoo's A Promise and Fabulous Muscles? I think Fabulous Muscles is one of their best, easily. I know you like Basket of Fruit, so I'm curious. Love you. No, Fabulous Muscles is a fucking classic. A Promise is good too. I think my wife prefers that one a little bit more, who actually, shout out to my wife. I love my wife. She's heavy into Shoo Shoo and turned me on to a lot of their stuff when we first started dating. Hi, Melon. What are my thoughts on the album Doppelganger by Fall of Troy? I think Fall of Troy, or The Fall of Troy, is, I don't know. They're essential as far as post-hardcore goes in terms of like the history of the genre, but I never liked their stuff. I always found their music very grating and obnoxious, Doppelganger included. One of my old faves. Yeah, I mean, I get why people like them, but I get why they're essential to the style again, but I've never been into their stuff. I could never get into it. As far as more abrasive strains of like post-hardcore, I'm very much more a Blood Brothers guy. Very much more into Blood Brothers. Recommendations for hate metal bands: Lord Mantis, Indian, Dragged into Sunlight. I don't know. Hate metal? I don't even know what is characterized as hate metal. I mean, I know those bands, and two of them shared members, but I don't know if I could name any other hate metal bands. There are a lot of noisy power violence and noise metal type bands that, are on Southern Lord Records that you might dig, but I can't name many other bands that sound like Indian, exactly like Indian. Check out Corey Wong's new album. I know you find Wolfpack boring, but okay. Prince meets the SNL intro. That's not a selling point, but not that those two things aren't good in their own right, but maybe. Better rapper, Pusha T present or Lil Wayne? Pusha T is better than most rappers. Pusha T. Hey, Anthony, have I heard Tosh Sultana? Yes, I have. Isn't she a bassist? I have not heard her new record yet. I know she has a new record out. I follow her on Instagram because I do like some of the bass playing that pops up on there. And I hope I'm not confusing her for somebody else. Let me just double check that. No. I am sorry. I fucking mixed her up for somebody else. This person, Tosh, is a pretty talented multi-instrumentalist, and but I find her songs very kind of boring. Sorry again for mixing her up with another female musician I'm familiar with who plays bass and just came out with a new record who has a somewhat similar name. But yeah, I find the songs underwhelming, but it is impressive that she's able to produce and just like play like a motherfucker on all of her records. Multi-instrumentalists, DIYers, kind of do-it-yourselfers, always an impressive breed. And always, tons of potential in those individuals too. So I don't know. I haven't counted her out completely. Looking forward to what she's doing in the future if I run across more of her music, of course. What do I think of the new Chelsea Wolf singles? I found them kind of underwhelming, which is weird because I did like that weird little acoustic album that she dropped a while back, but I'm not so much into these ones thus far. I think Hypnose and After the Fall are her best songs, and Abyss is still her best album. I agree. I think Abyss is still her best record, and if I haven't said it yet, ow! Thank you. And if I didn't say this one over here, ow! Dean, thank you. And Anthpo, ow! Hey, Anthony. Anthony here. Oh, cool. Another Anthony. I gained a following doing silly things around my school, but I have much more creative ambition than meme videos. I want to get into music making. Do you or Cal have any advice to start? I would try to do some research on some digital audio workstations and find out which one has, I don't know, the most power, the most features that you're interested in, what kind of music you might want to make with it, and just buy it, download it, and just start creating. Just familiarize yourself with a DAW. I think is probably the most a digital audio workstation, a DAW, is the best advice I can give to any person starting out making music. Because if you can master a DAW, you can literally just like make as much music you want by yourself anytime. Takeover is way better than Ether. Ether's beat is disgustingly bad, and the disses were lame. Also, Pete 2020 piece. Okay, Kasich 970. I'll just take that. I'll take it. Derek Wattis comes back. I don't think 50 Cent is bad or deserves much ridicule as he gets now. His lyrics may have only been the popular tropes of the era, but his flows and rhyme schemes were better than most rappers today, and he was a decent singer. I think that 50 is better than some of the trap rappers who have absolutely no personality out there today. I will give him that. My biggest issue with 50 Cent is that for his time, he was massively, massively, massively overrated. And really that's it. And the trend of hip hop music that he helped usher in was just not really that good, in my view. 50 Cent's classic works now are much better than like a Little Xan album or even like a Tekashi 6ix9ine album. Yes, sure. But for his time, there was way better hip hop out there that you could have been listening to. And if I didn't say it already, ow! Kenneth, ow! Fantano, you underrated the Full of Hell Merzbow split by 3 points. Okay, well, I mean, it is a good collaborative record. Also, why didn't I include Merzbow's side of the split, Sister Fawn, in my review? Sorry, I'm missing the BK date. I'm seeing Danny Brown and DJ at Afropunk. Okay, well, that should be fun. But I don't know. I can't go back to my reasoning as of right now as to why exactly I made that choice, as to not really talk so much about the Merzbow side and everything. But I don't know. Still a good split, though. Still a good collaboration, rather. Where do I think Ye and KSG would go on my Kanye worst to best list? Ooh, that's a good question. It would probably go right underneath College Dropout, honestly. Probably be in the number 2 spot. I heard a guy say DSOTM, Dark Side of the Moon, is the best album ever, but it's not even the best Pink Floyd album. P.S. It's obviously Animals. Also, Pink Floyd worst to best tier when? After I do the Aphex Twin worst to best. So Good Ass Job has to be a 10 now, right? Also, I know that you don't like Broadway, but thoughts on the Book of Mormon, considering more so, yeah. I haven't seen the Book of Mormon, honestly. I have not, but I do hear that it's funny. I would maybe like to see it one day, but have not seen it. But yeah, Good Ass Job, the future Chance and Kanye collaboration, considering Chance just got a 0, is going to be a 10 because obviously Kid Cudi got a 0 and then he got a 10 collaborating with Kanye. So it's going to be a 10. Did I ever get around to the MIDI Kane No If In Freestyle on SoundCloud? I don't think I did. I don't remember where this would have been suggested to me. Was this in a previous live stream? I think I would have remembered that name, but I don't remember the previous suggestion of that. So I apologize, but I just put it on my phone now. Thoughts on 90s slowcore space rock band Duster? Actually, I never got into Duster. As far as like slowcore, I do like Red House Painters. I do like some of Lowe's stuff from back in the day, but I've actually never gotten into Duster. I don't know. I'll just put it in my phone. I'll see what they have to offer at some point. But I have heard the band's name before, and I do know that they're, they're considered one of the best of the 90s as far as underground music goes. But I've never gotten into Duster. People asking about NF. NF's kind of corny. I don't know why you guys would ask me about NF. I hate the comments on your smaller reviews like Gorilla Toss or Purple Mountains that ask about future reviews that you're obviously going to make. It's worse than meme spam. Also, thoughts on your Mind Fuzz by King Gizzard. King Gizzard, Mind Fuzz, I think is an okay record. It's kind of a one-dimensional, fuzzy, psych garage punk blend. Not as good as records from bands like OCs, but I think King Gizzard went on to make better stuff in my view. Can you admit that you've ever been wrong about an album when you either first reviewed or first listened to it? Yeah, I've done a few videos about how my opinions on records have changed. So notable exceptions of like, the Beastie Boys Hot Sauce Committee. I loved that when it came out, but then it kind of just grew a little cold on me. And, Playboy Cardi's Die Lit. I liked that when it came out, but I ended up loving it with more listens. So, my opinion has changed before. I haven't really reached a point yet, though, Although I think 2 Chainz, based on true story, is probably an example. But I'm yet to reach a point, or rather many points, where I've hated something and I've loved something, and maybe a few months or a year down the road, I just did a total like 180 on it, and I just hate it now, or I just think it's the most amazing thing now. However, with time, I think that's more likely to happen down the road as context and everything changes, and opinions and points of view are entirely based on experience and context. And also favorite rap diss tracks. Ooh, probably No Vaseline. That's a fucking sick one. Could I rank the 4 main Smiths albums? Meat is Murder, Strange Ways, Queen is Dead, and the self-titled. I'd probably put Meat is Murder toward the bottom. Queen, Strange Ways, I don't know, maybe Meat and self-titled equal, I guess. I don't know, but Strange Ways and Queen are the best. Tyler makes a breakup album and gets a 9. Chance makes an album celebrating love and gets a 0. What's my problem with Love Melon Boy? It's a lot more than just that. It's you know what it is? Okay, you got me. I hate love. I hate it. I absolutely hate love. I hate it. I hate love so much. I just can't stand it. You should consider changing your rodeo score to a 9 or maybe even a 10, because I listen to that album every day, and you should too. I do listen to that record every once in a while, but I don't know if I feel much more than an 8 on it as of this point. But 8 is a very positive score. It's a great album. It's a good score. It's a very good record. Not even a Why You Know review for Mannequin Pussy. LMAO, YouTube won't let me type the P word. That's. Let me put it on my to-do list. Maybe I'll do a Why You Know review on it in the future. I didn't have strong feelings on it when it came out, though I think a few songs, from the record here and there are pretty good rock tunes. Do I have any favorite movie musicals? Trying to think of one off the top of my head. I honestly can't think of one. I'm having a brain fart. And that's because I don't really care that much for movie musicals. I know I've watched some that I enjoy, many of which are probably Disney ones, but it's just not a genre I care for much in terms of film. Thoughts on the Dead Kennedys Brazil controversy? What happened? Oh, well, I don't even know I don't think they can be punk anymore. Are they playing Brazil, or talking about how cool Bolsonaro is? I mean, a lot of what the Dead Kennedys do now, or I don't even know what the Dead Kennedys Brazil controversy is. I'd have to look up what the hell that is. Poster Brazil, Dead Kennedys Brazil, tour poster against Bolsonaro. Don't come to Brazil. How Dead Kennedys pissed off every Brazilian. I'd have to read into this. I haven't looked into it, so I don't know. But a lot of what the Dead Kennedys do as of late, I don't really invest that much into, because Jello isn't in the band anymore. You know what I mean? So to me, that's kind of a deal breaker. Hey, Anthony, thoughts on Undertale soundtrack? It's a cool soundtrack. Reminds me a lot of like classic SNES RPG soundtracks, but in a way that's not corny. Horribly stale memes aside, the soundtrack is amazing and one of the best. Yeah, it is a cool soundtrack. It is a fun game. And trying to play that game without killing anything is hard as fuck. Sire and Iris were both strong 4 EPs of Blue and Pink. Would I think I'd rate them higher? Wait, if they were 4-song EPs of Blue and Pink, would I have rated them higher? Yeah, I definitely would have. They probably both would have been in the 6 or 7 range at least. Asked you about the band Massive Fermenting Dregs a while ago. Did I ever find the time to listen to them? I probably did, but that was I know you recommended that a long time ago, and I can't even recall it at this point, what I ended up trying, like what record of theirs I ended up stumbling across after you suggested it. But that suggestion was a while ago. But Patrick, thank you for coming through again and popping in and saying hi. See you at the CTM&G. Thoughts on Peach Pit? Really fun guitar play, but I'm worried that they fall into bad surf rock revival going in indie. Can't wait to meet you. I know that I've heard their stuff before. It's kind of dreamy. And John, thank you for the 20. To me, it just felt like generic, dreamy indie rock with, again, kind of beach vibes coming off of it. I know a few of their tracks got caught up in the YouTube algorithm and got blown up as a result. And I don't know, didn't really stop me in my tracks, honestly. OK Computer is great. Ow! Dustin, thank you. But does it really deserve the #1 album on every music forums? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. OK Computer is very good. Okay, but I don't think it's the best album of all time. I think there are better albums than OK Computer. I think Lift Your Skinny Fists is better than OK Computer. I think In the Airplane Over the Sea is better than OK Computer. Just as far as like, talking about major indie records that everyone's heard. I think you need to listen to Stratosphere by Duster again. Yeah, honestly, I as I said earlier, I haven't gotten into Duster at all. You got to trust me on this one, Melon. Okay, I'll trust you. Generally, slowcore is not my favorite genre, but I will admit I've not gotten into Duster at all. As I was telling someone previously who also made a suggestion. Hey, Melon, do I like Sweet Trip? Yeah, I was actually planning on reviewing one of their records for Classics Week, this upcoming Classics Week. They're one of the favorite electronic groups. Yeah, I think they're a really cool electronic group. The way that they kind of, for their time period anyway, for the 2000s, the way they kind of, create a very psychedelic, almost shoegazy kind of sound was amazing and ahead of the curve. Boards of Canada, Aphex Twin. Thoughts on glitch music overall? I wish we had more glitch and folktronic music. There was a strong trend of it in the 2000s, but not so much these days. Much love. Thank you very much, Ty. The Sour Hour. Ow! Hey, dude, I asked you to check out the band Broadside a couple of months ago. If I didn't, I did not like their stuff. I remember not being into them, sadly. Also, how's my Friday been so far? I fucked my back up in the gym earlier in the week, and I have been just like fucking wanting to die ever since then. But today's the first day my back actually feels pretty good, which I'm pretty happy about because I do have to stand for 2 hours straight doing this, and I am not in any pain right now. So I'm very happy right now that I'm not in excruciating pain. So thank you. I love you. Rate Bohemian Rhapsody, the song. It's fucking a 12 out of 10. And a very detailed explanation. Well, you asked me to rate it, not review it. But I can say amazing phases, fantastic performance, production immaculate, and one of the best rock songs of all time, period. It's great. Alejandro Soto. Ow! Thank you for the 20. Wanted to ask you if you've heard of Mike. I have. I heard his new record. I thought it was, kind of like some rap songs if it wasn't as interesting, I guess. He did it before Earl, I think. Earl even shouts. Yeah, I mean, I do appreciate that. I think Earl has pulled a lot of inspiration from Mike in his more recent stuff, but I got to say I prefer Earl, like, heavily. Earl even shouts Mike up a number of times. He's 20 years old, beyond his years. Yeah, I think he's got some interesting abstract hip hop kind of vibes going on in his recent record. Maybe I just need to keep an ear on him and just try out his future stuff. His new album I thought was just okay. But if you do love some rap songs, like Mike is a must listen. Thoughts on the new Willow? I haven't heard it yet, but it is on my calendar to try it more. Did Toxic Fanbase affect you for review? Wait, did Toxic Fanbase affect you for review some gender? Like extreme metal in general? I like your work. Won my top. Okay, Jay. I think I'll try to answer what you might be getting at here. I do think that there are some fan bases of music, or the fan bases of music that I tend to find are the most annoying, are the fan bases that tend to have a bit of a macho attitude about them. And that applies to some metal artists and some hip hop artists, not all hip hop artists and not all metal artists. Not all hip hop audiences and all metal audiences do they carry that attitude. In fact, I would say most hip hop fans and most metal fans don't have that like blindingly macho attitude. I think a lot of people who listen to those genres are just normal people. But when I do run into fan bases, and even if I do a positive review, who have that kind of macho attitude, it's like they have to be confrontational. They have to have something to prove. They have to be mad about something. So, they'll try to take it out on me or somebody else. But outside of that, I think a lot of fan bases are easier to deal with. Does your fan base kind of piss you off for memeing so much? I mean, there are times when a fan base pisses me off, but I mean, not usually because of the memes. Also, what's worse, a 0 or a not good? I'm so confused. They're both pretty bad. I would say they're both equally bad. I think the not good and the 0, what separates them most greatly, and I have talked about this in a Let's Argue segment, is that going into the not good, I pretty much knew the record wasn't going to be worth a damn. Whereas like a 0 is like, wow, I had such high expectations for this and it just like failed miserably. Or like, I at least like thought this was going to be decent or worth a review or worth dissection. And it's just like the worst thing ever instead. Let me see. I'm wondering if I'd ever heard of Kyle Dion. I have. I think he's got some quirks that are worth keeping tabs on in his music, but I don't know. I think his songs are just okay, but I don't know. I don't really have much more to say about him. You know, I think he's definitely coming out of left field a little bit, and I appreciate that, but I feel like his music doesn't really measure up as being as weird as a lot of his promotional stuff might kind of imply, I guess, and I'll leave it there. But I do respect the guy. What do I think about Tulsi Gabbard? I like that she's generally anti-war and skeptical of the American war machine, but I think there are a lot of issues as far as like, racial issues, some other governments that I feel like she's not as skeptical of that she should be. On the international stage. I think there are other kind of progressive economic issues that she could be a lot better on, but that they don't really tend to be her focus because of the whole international, policy, foreign policy focus of her campaign. I don't know. I think she's okay. I think she's okay. Dear Melon, Black Future was released in 2009, which in fact makes Terminal Redux the best metal album of the 2010s, unless you have another album to object with. There's probably another album I could object with at some point, but I don't know. I know there are metal records out there I've given 9s to. I gave Terminal Redux an 8, if I remember correctly. And there are other metal records I know I've enjoyed more than that one. And Black Future is a very good album. So I don't know. I disagree. I don't think it's the best metal record of the decade. In fact, I would say The Satanist is a better metal record. So, I mean, come on, man. The Satanist? It's better. Had to figure out a question, but are there any musicians I'd recommend for someone going through a lot? Maybe Elliott Smith, if you find sad music cathartic. Also, thank you for existing, Melon. Your quality reviews really brighten my day. But if sad music is not cathartic to you, then maybe listen to something more upbeat. Like maybe listen to the new Dorian Electra album. Or listen to some Silver Jews. David Berman is a sad sack songwriter, and the new Purple Mountains album is pretty good, and he, wrote the songs on that too. Was I in excruciating pain when I reviewed The Big Day? Yes, I was, but I was also in excruciating pain when I reviewed the Purple Mountains album and I reviewed the YBN Corday record. I was pretty much in excruciating pain through every review that you're seeing this week. So I was, in excruciating pain through both positive and negative reviews. And I would not say that the pain affected the review because the albums that I reviewed are really that good and or bad. Let's Argue, The Importance of Being Idle is a top 10 Oasis song. I won't disagree with you, Simon. I will not argue with you, and I will not take this challenge to argue. I am not going to argue with you on this. Worst rap fan bases? I don't know. You did have all the NF people saying NF in the chat a while ago. That's pretty bad. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know who has the worst rap fan base. Yeah, I don't know. Fix mic. Something wrong with the mic? I'm not having some audio issues. Who? Hello. Guessing you guys can hear me. We got him. Oh, somebody says, oh, we got him. Oh, you got me. Am I familiar with self-made playlists by Stop It? I'm not. Criminally Underrated. Okay. Is it, I guess that's an album. It's not a playlist. Or else you wouldn't be suggesting it. I'll give it a try. Sounds interesting. You should listen to DJ mixes. I have occasionally. I find that they can make you enjoy electronic music more if you hear the track separately as it tells a story. I suggest John Hopkins' BBC Essential Mix from 2015. Okay, that sounds neat. That sounds cool. Can I stop sleep? How can I sleep at night after giving Yeezus a 5? Oh, I sleep very well after giving Yeezus a 5. I sleep very well, Jones, BB. Ow! Thank you for the 20. Yeah, I sleep okay after giving it a 5. Maybe one day my opinion will change. Stick around. Stick around. Stay subscribed to me for the next 30 years. Maybe my opinion will change then. Now that Tool has released their albums onto all streaming platforms, will we hear a Tool worst to best in preparation for the new album? If I do a Tool worst to best, it's most likely going to be after the new album, not before, after. Can I recommend some lesser known alt rock classics? Fantastic Planet. What's a good alternative rock band that's more, I don't know, Mudhoney? Check out Mudhoney. I mean, not technically like a true blue alt rock band, but you should check out Mudhoney. Butthole Surfers. A little more punk in tone, but still, came out of the alternative rock era and worth trying. And I feel like there are a lot of people in the millennial and sort of Zoomer generation who don't listen to them, don't know who they are. What do I think UK rap, grime, Afrobeats not pop off in the US? I think it is way more than it used to be back when I was in college and I was listening to people like The Streets. It's definitely more relevant than it used to be. I think it's just going to take a while for it to get a bit bigger. There's a constant debate here discussing if we need American approval or not. You do not need American approval. Obviously it will bring in more money and attention and everything, but look, just keep doing what you're doing. And if the opportunity comes up to promote yourself to an American audience, just do it, just take it. And you're already doing that by virtue of putting the stuff out there on the internet. You know what I mean? Toxic Mayhem says, let me lick you. No. I don't know if you've had your rabies shots. No. But look, you don't need American approval. You know what I mean? Just keep doing your thing. And look, as the internet gets bigger and bigger, the international music audience is going to become huge. There are gigantic Indian rap songs jumping up onto YouTube that are popping off with, over 100 million views in 24, 48 hours. You know what I mean? It's only going to be a matter of time before, these audiences are kind of traveling over into, Western music spheres and vice versa. And we've got a weird, crazy international internet music scene going on with millions of people in every direction. Leroy, ow! Which one is more likely to happen for you in the next 5 years and why? Have a podcast, maybe. Partner with Affiliate Complex. I'm already on Complex's MCN. And some people were sort of talking about that on the subreddit today. And keep in mind that my connection with Complex, they don't take any of my YouTube revenue, and they essentially don't have anything to do with the content that I make or the opinions that I put out there. They just sort of run ads on my content in addition to the AdSense ads that you would already normally see, and that's pretty much the role they play is the word. I was looking for the word role. So I'm already on their MCN. So I'm partnered with them technically, though I don't make content with them on a regular basis or anything like that. Talking head on a channel MTV, never going to happen. Contributor to a music blog, Rolling Stone. I mean, could happen, but it's not something I'm super interested in doing. So again, B is kind of already happening, and A, I would be interested in doing a podcast on Spotify. Could happen. I guess we'll see. And if I didn't say it already, ow! Miles Bergquist, Dave Grohl said Billie Eilish could be the next Kurt Cobain. Any thoughts? I think she's currently already the Kurt Cobain of this new wave of pop. I think that's what she is. It is what it is. Who's my top presidential candidate at this point following the Dem debates? Also, how do I listen to albums? Headphones, giant melon-shaped speakers. These days, I'm typically on headphones. I'm usually also on my stereo, but my stereo is broken down over here until I put my office back together in another room down the hall, because I took my office out of the old room so I could paint the old room that it used to be in, because I'm moving my office to a different room. But once I get it back together, my stereo, you could see my turntable right there. Once it's back together, I'll be listening to albums more back on the stereo. But usually it's headphones. These days, how do I listen to giant mix? And one day probably I'll get some giant melon-shaped speakers. And top presidential candidates at this point are probably Bernie and Elizabeth. I could maybe stand Kamala without throwing up. I think Jay Inslee is cool, but he has no chance of winning. and Marianne Williamson for the memes. You know, I think maybe in a future presidential cabinet she could be the secretary of healing crystals. I'm sick with a stomach bug today. Glad your stream is keeping me entertained. Well, I hope you get better. Whatever, you know, Google some stomach bug home remedies and don't get dehydrated. I don't know if you got one of those diarrhea stomach bugs. Don't get dehydrated. What do I think of modern instrumental music? I find most tracks don't feel full without vocals. I do like them. I do like the album Neopunk by Hadith, if I haven't heard it. I think instrumental music can be good, but look, you can't just basically write. And someone asked about Earth Crisis, good ass band. Definitely kept me true to the straight edge when I was younger. Yeah, there are a lot of bands that don't feel full without vocals because they're essentially just writing instrumental fucking rock songs that would have vocals on them, but they don't have a vocalist. You know, if you're a group like Hella, for example, you don't need vocals because your music is so fucking insane. Like, it's not entirely necessary. If you're a band like Battles, you know, if you're a band like Mahavishnu Orchestra, you know, if you're making songs like Frank Zappa, you know, you don't need vocals all the time because the instrumentation is engaging enough, you know, and that's the thing. If you don't have vocals, the instrumentation's got to be engaging, you know. Thoughts on Black Saint and the Sinner Lady? It's a jazz classic. My personal favorite jazz album of all time. What's my favorite jazz album of all time? What's my favorite jazz album of all time? I mean, that's definitely up there. I'm trying to think of what else. God, I'm having such a fucking brain fart right now. And I don't want to say something basic like Giant Steps. Though I do want to say Bitches Brew, and that's pretty basic as well. Though I do think Blue Train's pretty amazing. I Talk with the Spirits and Inflated Tear, as Roland Kirk is one of my favorite jazz musicians of all time, are probably up there in my two favorites. Thoughts on K-pop? Not going to lie, I think it's kind of weird, and I like rap, but if anyone could articulate why it's really good, I think personally what I enjoy about it, when I do enjoy a K-pop song, is just the weird amalgamation of electronic music and pop music and hip-hop. I think that's kind of interesting about it. Though it is pretty formulaic and it is very commercial and overproduced, but when a song is good, I think that's mostly what I like about it. And just that I think there are qualities about it that are good about just any other song that's in the popular music sphere. Are the hooks good? Is the beat catchy? Are the vocal melodies, lit? I really liked your video covering the Batushka issue. I'm interested in your take on other modern black metal bands, Dear Weg, Einer, Freiheit, Migla. I don't have any thoughts on the Migla, American Cognitum. I don't think I've heard the Derweg, so I'll put that on my phone. And I'm sorry for butchering the pronunciations of all of these. Ow! Clever to swear. Thank you very much. What did I make of Dead End Hip Hop's video about my Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy review? I thought it was fine. I thought they brought up some compelling points. I planned on doing a response to the video on the Fantano channel, but I didn't get around to doing it. And maybe I should take some time to do it. I guess I'll say this. If I had to review My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy again, I would do a better job because I am definitely a different reviewer than I used to be. And there are things in that review that I think could have been put better. Were they correct on your assessment about the general audience overhyping the album, which caused me to relatively a low score? No. There were other records around that time that had hype audiences that I didn't lower the score because they had a hype audience. And honestly, I wasn't even fully, I guess, deep into sort of the audience hype when I reviewed the record. It wasn't until after I had gotten the record that, because my YouTube channel was still pretty small at that point, it wasn't until after I reviewed it that I got like this huge like flood of like, fuck you, you're terrible, you're the worst, you're fucking Satan. So it's not like it used to be today. Like these days when an album is hype, people are like up my ass in 5 minutes and like, you got to do this, you got to do this. Like back in the day, like it was not like that. Thoughts on Soy Jorge? I hope I'm saying his name right. I have that David Bowie's cover CD he did back in the day. He's the Black Brazilian, and I'm familiar with him. He's really good. That David Bowie's cover CD is fucking fire. And he's a very talented songwriter. So mostly impressed with what I've heard of his work so far. Gil, thank you. Earth Crisis again, they kept me on that straight edge. Hey, Anthony, I think you said you don't take kind on bands trying to enforce their religious beliefs through their music. I'd like to know what you think of bands like Demon Hunter or Impending Doom. I don't know what their religious beliefs are, so I can't comment. But, you know, I don't hate all Christian bands or even sort of like talking about your beliefs. I think just kind of centering on that and only that can kind of limit your artistic, I don't know, trajectory, though. Let me get these. I don't want any of these to disappear. Aaron, thank you. Elder Barry, how do I think Kanye ranks in all time like hip hop artists? He's definitely in the top 15. My friend thinks J. Cole is a better artist than Kanye. I don't agree. I do not agree with that. Kanye's a better songwriter, a better lyricist, a better producer, and I think has a better ear. Did I think of that new Josiah? I like his stuff, but I don't think I've heard it, honestly. Greta Van level copy of X. Okay, well, that's disappointing. Did I actually enjoy X's older stuff? Like his edgy SoundCloud stuff, like the hard shit? Yeah, I like some of that stuff. I think it's pretty decent. But yeah, I don't want to hear a X ripoff, honestly. Thoughts on Rich Brian's The Sailor? I'm going to be trying to pump up or rather write out my review for that today, though. The YBN Corday review is what's coming out today. But I am going to be trying to write out the Rich Brian review today so it can come out first thing next week. The use of alternative music, the use of alternative in music means absolutely nothing and is now a watered down term to describe pop music with an edge, like Imagine Dragons. Yeah, I mean, look, Derek, and thank you for coming back with another 20. Ow. Alternative, yes, you could say it's been watered down to a point, but look, as somebody who grew up listening to alternative rock, because I grew up when alternative rock was relevant in the 90s. Even back in the day, alternative rock basically stood for how do I put this? It was basically any type of rock music that was hooky and catchy and could make it onto the radio, but wasn't edgy, but was too edgy to be considered pop rock. You know what I mean? Like, everybody listening to rock music knew it wasn't punk, it wasn't metal, it wasn't any other kind of brand of more obscure or underground or sort of aggressive brand of rock music. Like, people knew alternative rock was not really that dark or mean or anything. It's always been a term that's been watered down or represented a notion of watered down rock music in a way, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. At the end of the day, the labels aren't as important as the artist, the album, the quality of the song, Not sure if you've said this already, but what were your thoughts on The Sailor by Rich Brian? I'm going to be reviewing it very soon. Review probably out first thing next week. I apologize for the wait. Also, what are my thoughts on IDK and his new single 24? I did talk about that in the recent weekly track roundup, and I think it's a really good single. Looking forward to his new record. Have I heard that Oliver Tree dropped a new EP 12 hours ago? No, I have not. I actually need to put that in my fucking calendar. Goddamn. New Oliver Tree EP. It is done. Thank you very much, Ryan. Ow! Andrew. Ow! If money was no object, what would be your audio setup? Also, some anime ops are bangers. Man, I would probably blow tens of thousands of dollars on Macintosh speakers and amplifiers, and that's what I would do. That's what I would do. The real high-end shit. Macintosh. Macintosh, not to be INTOSH, not to be confused with the computer brand. It's a totally different thing. Why do I think no one ever talks about Mike Oldfield, even if he was huge back in the 70s and did some very good stuff into the 90s, like Amarok? The only thing that's ever mentioned is The Exorcist. I don't know, honestly. I really don't know. I don't know. This is not something I think I can comment on why he's not discussed more. And to sort of movies, The Exorcist, Tubular Bells. Yeah. I mean, I do see Tubular Bells get quite a few mentions in some like lists, but yeah, I really don't know. There's some artists that, even though they made tons of classic shit, they continue to get name dropped. And there are some artists that, even though they made classic shit, they don't. And, Missy Elliott's an example, like she totally fell off the radar of every millennial and Zoomer for a while. And I don't know, people were like, whoa, who's this cool artist I've never heard of before, when she kind of came back during that Super Bowl performance. It just happens, I feel like you need to talk to a music historian and somebody who's more familiar with Mike's discography and creative trajectory to really kind of get an answer to that. Cal Tang Clan ain't nothing to mess with. Okay, Dreamville for life. I agree. Sid, hey Melon, glad you're back on the glad your back is on the mend. I appreciate that. Do I think you'll ever go on the Sardonicast again? If they invite me again, I would go on. I don't see why not. Loved hearing you talk about Dancer in the Dark with the boys. Looking forward to seeing you in Cambridge. Yes, it's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a fun show. Hey yo, love your channel. Bless you. What's my favorite one-hit wonder? Probably Flagpole Sitta by Harvey Danger. Also, can I recommend listening to two of my favorite artists, Cool Calm Pete and Billy Talent? Are they the same? I've never been into Billy Talent. Never could be into Billy Talent. But I will say Flagpole Sitta is probably my favorite one-hit wonder. I definitely think Iridescence was rushed and needed more time. But with Ginger, Brockhampton took their time, and I believe it will be a better experience. I hope that that's the case. I do think Iridescence might have been rushed, but I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Your greatest challenge to date, reviewing music, and how do I see yourself growing in the next year? Honestly, I think I'm just going to keep staying consistent, doing what I'm doing, as long as it continues to work. People seem to like the reviews. Everything seems to be going good. The YouTube algorithm is a bitch and not as, generous to independent creators as it used to be. But I don't know. I think I'm managing. And as long as I continue to manage, I'm just going to continue working with the formula that I think works, that I think functions. I might branch out and try to do a podcast on Spotify or something like that at some point in the future, but, going to try to stick with my guns. Kanye or Kendrick, both constantly flip between top 1 and top 2 of all time for me. Right now, I think I'm a little bit more in Kanye's camp, but if Kendrick comes out with a mind-blowing record on this next one and this next time around, I'm probably going to be more Team Kendrick. Melon is giving oral vegan. Okay, dude. Check out Tripes for some great post-punk daddy, a great Greek post-punk. Okay, I'll put it on my phone. Do I think the new Tool album is kind of doomed to fail? It could be. The bar is high, and I guess we will see. Knack, baby. No Sauce Ross. Do I have a favorite music video for Flamboyant? Do I have a favorite music? I love the Career Boy music video right now. I would recommend everybody checks out the Dorian Electra Career Boy music video. It's very funny. Gil Martinez, I love that you're back. Thank you very much. I know you have thoughts on the N-word in music. I don't really have many thoughts on the N-word in music. How do I feel about Dead Kennedys Jello dropping the N-bomb in Holiday in Cambodia? Was it okay due to the message of the song and in the punk scene at the time? I'm not really offended by the usage of that word in that song, mostly because it is kind of quoting or mocking the idea of someone using the song. You know what I mean? I feel like there is a definitely artistic license for using the word, and it depends on the message, depends on the context. And the difference, of course, in application between the N-word in a song like Holiday in Cambodia and the N-word when you're, talking to random dudes like, hey, my, so on and so forth. It's like the application of that is obviously different than the message you're trying to put forward in a song like Holiday in Cambodia. Using the word colloquially with other black people is like trying to signify that you're in an in-group that you're not actually a part of, which is why the application of the word in that sense is incorrect and many people find it offensive. I personally don't find it offensive, and though some people find the usage of the word in any context offensive, and I understand that as well. But that particular context, I don't particularly have a lot of issue with, considering, again, the message Jello is trying to get across in the usage of that word. Hi, Anthony. Will I be doing something like a decade list, top 50 albums of the 2010s? I'm going to be doing a top 100 albums of the 2010s once next year rolls around, so you can expect that. Is it obvious that Jacob Collier is extremely talented in all things music? But what do I think about his compositions, albums? Ever thought about interviewing him? I've never thought about interviewing him. I've never cared that much for Jake's or Jacob's stuff. I don't know. I know his newest record I tried out after a suggestion in a recent live stream, and I thought it was kind of quirky, and obviously a lot goes into it, like production-wise, but I wasn't getting a whole lot out of it. I thought there were elements of the In My Room album that were fun, but I don't know. There were a lot of spots about it that I thought were just kind of like quirky for the sake of quirky. And again, I didn't really get a whole lot out of it, but I do appreciate people like Jacob who are just like, they're just monsters on everything. Just like you just hand them an instrument and they're just like, they're just like fucking machines. But yeah, I haven't really considered interviewing him. Maybe at some point. Hey, Anthony, you said you loved FKA Twig's new single, Cellophane. What are my thoughts on the music video for it? I've actually not watched the music video. I try to avoid a lot of music videos if I don't need to watch them, even though I did just endorse the Dorian Electra one. But some clips of it that I saw with the pole dancing and the red and sort of the setup that it was all in, like, looked really cinematic and cool. But I haven't seen the whole music video. Hey, Anthony, PJW fan was arguing with me that there hasn't been any iconic pieces of culture in the 2010s decade in terms of music or film. Would I agree with this? Guys, this is why you do not listen to Paul Joseph Watson or take anything that he says seriously ever. Because if you do, he will have you so fucking stupid and like brain melted that you will literally think that there hasn't been any good culture in the 2010s. You have to be a fucking moron living under a rock to think anything like remotely close to that. So Paul Joseph Watson and his fans take another L. Any plans to review the new Flume Rio Kragen collab EP? I don't know about that. I need to try it first, but I will put it in my phone and I'll remind myself to give it a shot. General feelings on it seem to be very mixed. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll see and play it by ear. If I think it's good and worth talking about, then yes. But if I don't, I'm most likely going to be talking about something else instead. Is there any chance of you doing a worst best on Judas Priest? God, it's such a huge discography. And if I was to do another metal worst to best, there are other bands I might do before them. When am I coming to Australia next? It would depend on when I'm called over. Someone would have to call me over. My usual guy who does those tours for me hasn't called me over there yet. I just realized that we had to spend $10 to get a response. Hi, Melon. Just wanted to say I love you. I love you too. Also, what do I think of Moby Dick by Nakey Jakey? I haven't heard that one. If I listened to it, I have not, but I think it's his best 4 song now. But I am going to be getting deeper into Jakey's discography and the music he's coming out with from here if he's going to keep dropping more music. But I think it's kind of exciting that Jakey's getting into music. I think there were some issues with his last single, but I don't know. Going to be looking forward to seeing what he does next. If Ooh, I Love My Wife hadn't been left off the big day, would it have been the best track on the project? If Ooh, I Love My Wife was an actual song on the album, the record would have been a 1. It would not have been a 0. It would have been a 1. Have I checked out the new Vegan tracks, Blue Verb and Cowboy All-Star? I have not. My favorite electronic tracks of the year. I saw you liked the new Arthur record. I should check out his band Joy Again singles. Okay. And I'll put that on my phone to remind myself to check it out. Thank you very much, Tom. Justo, Blando. Let's say there is a music Olympics. Genres are the events. Which country is winning each genre? If you want to get more specific, there's a women's division and a men's division as well. This is like such an insane fucking proposition that it would take an hour to even answer this even like halfway good. But I don't know. I think America would win like the hip hop category. America would win the rock category. The UK would probably win the electronic category. America would win the bluegrass and country category. Korea would win the South Korea would win the K-pop category. Japan would maybe win the noise and maybe even like the noise rock category. Yeah, I cannot even start to. I just can't. I can't. Shout out to all the other countries though making music. Maybe Canada would win the indie category. I really have no idea. It's such a silly question, but I love that you asked it. I do love that you asked it. Since you review a lot of instrumental music and even composers like Julia Holter and Prurient, why not review more movie soundtracks and film composers? I know they probably deserve more recognition, but there's so much to review all the time, and I just don't know. I just don't know. I'm just not that into a lot of movie soundtracks. I do find that a lot of movie soundtracks just don't hit as well when they're not accompanied with the film. And I don't know. It's just a general rule that I just tend not to break. Honestly, like all I'm really doing here, and you guys need to realize this is I'm giving up ground here. What I am telling you is that this is not my thing. This is not a thing that I do. You can literally jump in here and just become the movie track reviewer. You can become the movie track reviewer, girl or gal or guy or non-binary person. You could be that movie track reviewer person because I have ceded that ground. I've given up that ground. I've given it up. I totally suck at it. Much love from Lusby, Maryland. Well, shout out to Lusby, Maryland. Anthony, what are my favorite films? I really like Big Lebowski. I really liked that new movie, or rather newer movie, Hereditary. I like Jordan Peele's Us and Get Out. I love 28 Days Later. Love Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Did I say Big Lebowski? I love a lot of Quentin Tarantino films. I love a lot of Wes Anderson films. I love a lot of... I love some Von Trier films. I think Antichrist is an amazing movie. But I don't know. I don't know much about film generally. I'm kind of sucky when it comes to film. Obviously, I'm not over here talking about how fucking great Transformers is, but film is not my forte. What do I think of the Cardiacs? I haven't gotten into their stuff as deeply as I should, but I know they're a very creative and off the fucking wall, insane post-punk band. And there are some groups that are kind of in their vein, like the Pop Group and Para Ubu, that that I do enjoy. I've just been waiting for the time necessary to really kind of dive into their stuff. Fuse punk, prog rock, bit of psych. You can see their influence in Mr. Bungle. Yeah, most definitely. But generally, even though I'm not well versed in their stuff, I would recommend them. I do think they're a band worth trying out. I do think they're a group more people should be familiar with. God damn it, I had another thing or better thing to ask. What are your thoughts on pro wrestling entrance themes? Oh man, there's some good pro wrestling entrance themes. I used to love Stone Cold Steve Austin's and Hardcore Holly's back in the day. Also Kane's and The Undertaker's. And D-Generation X used to have like a really bad Rage Against the Machine ripoff as their entrance theme. So yeah, there's some good wrestling entrance themes. It's a rich topic. No, I agree. There are a lot of good classic wrestling entrance themes back in the day. What do I think of the new Volbeat record released today? I've not heard it. I know it's, I saw it on the, I thought I saw it on the Apple Music, Volbeat. I saw it on the Apple Music front page, but I've not tried it, so I can't comment yet on the rewind, replay, rebound. Yeah, I haven't really gotten into it yet, but I did see the cover, and usually I try to give a try to at least everything a lot of things anyway, that land on the Apple front page. So might give it a shot later. What's my favorite Beach Boys album beside Pet Sounds? God, I don't know. Was it fucking God? Beach Boys. Because I don't really have anything from them other than just like that record, some Smile, some like compilations and shit. I know, yeah, I can't really comment on that. And I haven't really gotten into a lot of their stuff after that either. Yeah, I can't comment. Fuck me, man. Fuck me, Sean Evans. Are you the Sean Evans? Are you fucking Hot Wings, Hot Ones, Hot Chicken, Hot Sauce Sean Evans? Coming in here with a pound? 10 pounds? Fuck you, bro. But I guess if you're looking for more surf rock shit, I don't know. You could try Endless Summer. It's a good compilation. I'll say that. Minecraft Volume Alpha for Classics Week? I don't know. Maybe. Also, how do I get your music or my music in your ears once it's released? Suggest it to me. Email me, anthony@theneedledrop.com. What are some of your favorite video game soundtracks that I liked from back in the day? Probably like A Link to the Past, Zelda, Metroid, fucking all the Mega Man fucking soundtracks are amazing. I mostly played video games from NES to Super NES to N64. Donkey Kong soundtracks are amazing. So those ones tend to be my favorites. Also, the Cuphead soundtrack is great. If you need to check out Spyro, You're the Dragon, it's really interesting. Yeah, I've gotten some suggestions on that. Also, Secret of Mana and Chrono Trigger are really good. The Big Day, Igor, no joke. No, it is not. That's a troll. What is my personal favorite rap Mount Rushmore? And what is your best teeth in the game Mount Rushmore? I don't know. Who would my rap Mount Rushmore be? I think Andre, Kendrick, Doom, and like Ghostface. Maybe Kanye being there too. And best teeth in the game Mount Rushmore. Me and The Weeknd right now have the best teeth in the game. Me and The Weeknd. Is your top albums of the decade just going to be based on personal enjoyment or something a bit more objective? It's going to be personal enjoyment. It's going to be personal enjoyment, honestly. And there will probably be an honorable mentions too, I guess, for the decade. Have I been watching any of the Ajuna Beats or Ajuna Deep label album releases lately? No, I'm not even familiar with the label, honestly. I'm just going to have to look that up. Sounds cool. Would I ever consider reviewing works from artists from these labels? I haven't heard the works off of the record label. Excuse me. Someone says Kanye is a producer only. That is not true. Yeah, I haven't heard these labels, so I'm just going to have to try them out. But they're in my phone now. I'll give them a shot. Who would win in a fight, Shrek or a tiger? Shrek, man. Shrek would fucking throw a tiger off of a cliff. Shrek would win. Yo, love your stuff, but I'm wondering if you'll be reviewing the debut album from The Who once it comes out. Saw them live and they're great. No idea what that band is. But The Who, H-U, The Huh? I don't know. I'll give it a shot. Sounds like it could be cool. Any theories why Chance fell so hard in terms of lyricism compared to his past tapes? Also, rank your favorite Tarantino movies. Oh, God. I'm not even familiar with his whole, all of his newer movies. Some of his newer ones I have not seen. I have not seen The Hateful Eight. Even though that movie is relatively well reviewed. I would say my top 5, though. I'll say a top 5 is probably I'll say my top 5s are Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs are the best. Then it goes to probably the Kill Bills, and then Jackie Brown are probably my favorites. Death Proof kind of sucks. I forgot about Death Proof. Holy shit. I forgot about how that movie sucked. But again, I haven't seen all of his more recent films, so I can't do a whole ranking. I missed the vegan cooking show. I will do more. I promise I will. I will do more. Did I know that Burger King is going to have the Impossible Burger available everywhere on August 8th? Ooh, that's crazy. What are my thoughts? That's cool. I'm glad it's being everywhere. That's pretty neat. That's a big change. Do I think the Drake care package is a savvy attempt at keeping sales going? Yeah, I do. Or do I think that he actually cares that the fans can finally own these Lucy's? I think it's A and B. I think it can be both. Hey, do I listen to Jacob Collier? Am I planning to review his new album? No, I am not. I have heard his stuff before, and I was talking about his music earlier. I do think he's obviously an instrumental wizard as far as someone who plays instruments, but I don't care for a lot of his compositions, and I think a lot of his music is quirky to the point where it's a bit of a turnoff, I guess. And I'm not that into it, but I respect the dude's talent. Can't live down these beat downs, you Chris Brown, cause I'm the cable boy, Larry boy eating steak, and Larry boy, better line from No Ifin from SC, from Midi Kane. Also, does Redman have a classic? Yes. Redman has a couple fucking classics. Redman is fucking classic as fuck. What is it? That fucking Dark Side record? And also, doesn't he have that, he has that fucking record. Yes, there is a Dark Side is classic. And also, There was another one I was thinking of that that he has that's really good that I can't think of right now, but his first several records are great. So yeah, Redman has a classic. How do I determine what gets a track review? It depends on how much I'm into the artist and how much of a demand there is for the track review. And track reviews are kind of like, I don't know, there's not a whole lot of pressure to review every single track because every single track I usually end up covering in the weekly track roundup. So I don't know. There's a lot of different things that I guess go into it. And it's never one sort of thing making me make my decision. You know, like I did a recent track review for Rico Nasty, and that's just because I find her stuff interesting. Consider one of the new Rhapsody singles for her new album. I haven't heard the new Rhapsody singles yet, but I am looking forward to that new LP. Rhapsody. Let me remind myself to check that out later. Yeah, I'll give that a shot later. Am I excited for King Gizz's up-and-coming metal album? Yes. That is going to be fucking amazing. King Gizzard going thrash metal is going to be spectacular. Been loving your content since the old days. If I aren't already aware of them, I was hoping I could turn you on to Zap. I'm not familiar with them. The band's new album. Album goes everywhere from pop punk to classical-ish. Okay, that sounds cool. Pop punk classical-ish? Zap. I have not heard of Zap. I'll give him a try. I put it in my phone. Is this DJ October? No, it's Zero Silk. Or Xerox Silk. Any chance we could get a Mad Lib or Quasimodo review for Classics Week? The Unseen or Shades of Blue in particular? The Unseen could be fun, but I don't know. I feel like we already have some Mad Lib representation in Classics Week thus far, and there are other artists that I do want to get into the rotation, like, obviously, the Black Parade. You know, I definitely want to do that for Classics Week. How do I feel about the current music landscape? Am I excited about what's being released these days? Yeah, I'm excited every year about what's coming out. I mean, at the end of the year consistently, I've been able to find 50 records that I think are awesome or, worth talking about. So I don't know, I don't know what else to say. I'm excited, looking forward to it. If I wasn't, I would not be doing this job. I guess I'll say that much. Where's the Aphex Twin Worst to Best? It's going to get worked on eventually at some point. But, I just have a lot of reviews and everything to do. That takes up a lot of time. What is the difference between a 0 and a not good? Why didn't Chance get a not good? Because I didn't think the album, I'll put it simply because I have sort of answered this before. Because I didn't think the album was going to be trash going into it. I had high expectations. And because of the fact that I was taking it and Chance very seriously, I was actually listening to the new record a few times and was, trying to dissect it. And that's why, the not goods are a little bit more riffy, a bit more casual. The new Big Sean singles, Lot Crosby is asking, what do I think of those? I think they're boring. Opinion on the New West Records, the label. I haven't really gotten much into their stuff, I don't think. Do I think the fact that Kanye uses ghostwriters has a real effect on the perception of his music? Does it help that he openly admits to it? Kanye has a lot of collaborators that he works with. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, if you handed those same ghostwriters and collaborators to any other artist, it wouldn't just automatically come out the same way that Kanye's record comes out. And that's because Kanye directs his albums in a way that a director directs films. It's not that different. And that's part of what makes Kanye special. And maybe it affects the perception of his music. I don't know. I know it doesn't personally make me enjoy his music any more or any less. Okay. You've said you're not the biggest Animal Collective fanboy out there, but am I interested in doing a worst to best on them? Would be interesting. Maybe at some point, but there are a lot of other artists that I would rather cover first. I'm back, Melon. Hey, thanks, man. Cool Calm Pete is a rap artist similar to MF Doom. He was part of a rap group called Blabberton, which had production from RJD2 and MF Doom. Okay. Pete's solo album is called Lost. Please listen. Okay. That's a healthy suggestion. Cool Calm Pete. Yeah, I'm DJ October, going through a name change and identity shift, though. Oh, okay, cool. Good luck on your identity shift. I hope you're doing good. Seems we have reached a little bit of the end there. We have 20 minutes left. I will try to catch up on any that, any more super chats or whatever that come in now. And here's one or a couple more. The Jay-Z Linkin Park collab is one of the best crossovers of all time. It's one of the biggest. I wasn't too crazy about it when it came out, but it came out way better than it than one would think. You know, it's not garbage. You know, it really could have fallen flat on its face. And as someone who enjoyed Jay-Z's and Linkin Park's material at that time, I don't know how necessary it really was, since it was just kind of like a remix in a way, but it's still kind of cool. What do I say is the best Tribe album? It's Low End Theory. Thoughts on ODB? ODB is amazing and heavily underrated, and paved the way for all of these SoundCloud rappers screaming their brains out. Any recommendations for other Japanese ambient albums? Not as of right now. You know, as I said in my recent review of that compilation off of Light in the Attic Records, Japanese ambient is not a genre of music I was all that well versed in going into the reviews, so I can't comment on any more suggestions really. Yeah, the new Big Sean tracks I think are pretty boring. I think they're pretty boring. Not looking forward to that new Sean. I'm gonna try to maybe get into some of these that I might have missed. Let me make myself tiny. Let me make myself tiny. I'd rate Mezzanine at least an 8, at least an 8 or a 9. Okay, let me try to go through some of these that I might have missed. I got that one. I know you love numerous Bjork and Fiona Apple albums. Would I give any a 10? Definitely Vespertine is a 10, undoubtedly. New West Records label, I got that one, or I responded to it. What's my opinion on Tool releasing their entire catalog? I'm hype about it. And I do have a Rich Brian review to do. I will do it. Will I review Downward Spiral by 9 Inch Nails? Could be a fun classic review. I should have listened to Lek Lem Kidr. I cannot pronounce that at all, but I will pop that suggestion into my phone. But again, I cannot pronounce that. Super dude. But thank you for coming back. Thank you for donating. Thank you for being a solid dude. Prurient review coming. Is there a new Prurient album? Is a new Prurient record out? There would only be new Prurient review coming if there was new Prurient, and I have not heard any new Prurient. So you'll need to email me, anthony@theneedledrop.com, if there is in fact new Prurient, and let me know. Am I excited for the King Gizzard? I got that one. Got that one. Top 3 Flaming Lips albums. Any chance on worst of it? I don't know. Embryonic is definitely in the top 3 in my view. Opinions on Guitar Innovators on the Guitar Innovator Sonic Youth. I never heard you mentioning them. I mean, I think that they're pretty cool. I think they're a good band, and there are some records of theirs that I enjoy quite a bit, like Sister and Goo, Daydream Nation. Do I think their discography needs to be as big as it currently is? Not necessarily, but certainly the fact that they've so wildly just sort of like messed with guitars over the years is pretty significant. Cody Cook is asking. And we need to shift over here real quick because we have somebody over here with a fucking 50. Ow! Thank you very much. Who is this? Reed K. If I could only listen to one rap artist, who would I listen to? Also, you should review Axis Bold as Love. If I could only listen to one rap artist, who would I listen to? It would probably be Doom, Kanye, Kendrick, or Andre. Though I don't know if I could really listen to Andre, because Andre would obviously be rapping with Big Boy on an Outkast album. So I don't know if that would break the rules, you know? So it'd probably be either Condre, Kendrick, or Doom. Probably one of those 3. Let me see. Semi-political question coming in hot. What are my thoughts on the overuse of the word bitch in modern hip hop? Seems pretty dang misogynistic. Yeah, I don't think just saying the word bitch is inherently misogynistic. No more misogynistic than using language that is typically associated with men or maleness in a negative tone, whether in music or just in general. I think what matters is the application. Like, are you calling some dude who, I don't know, you fought and you beat up or something a bitch? Or are you just like, see, because here's the thing. You can make an incredibly misogynistic song without even using the word bitch. You know what I mean? Like, to me, the amount of misogyny that word inherently holds is not as deep as, I don't know, let's say an entire song. And I would agree that Drake has some pretty misogynistic songs. There is that one song where he's kind kind of going on about this girl that he's with and how she's just making him miserable and how he just sort of like threatens to send her back to like where she came from in the projects or some shit. And to me, that's pretty fucking nasty and gross in tone. Much grosser, I think, in terms of one's treatment of women than just using the word bitch or even calling a woman a bitch. Because to me, actions speak so much louder than words. And not that calling a woman a bitch is something that I would advocate for doing. You know, obviously, I'm not telling anybody to go out and do that. Ask Uzi to drop EA Melon. I'll get him on the phone right after this. Also, what's my favorite rock album? Ugh, I don't know what my favorite rock album is. Generally, there's so many good rock albums. It's such a huge fucking genre. I'll say my favorite rock album is The Beatles, who love to rock. Beatles Revolver, the best rock album of all time. It is a good one, though. Or Wire's Pink Flag, or even Iggy and the Stooges' Raw Power. It's a badass rock record, even though the production is deafening. Do I think people like Ruben and Candace Owens genuinely believe everything they say? No, they don't believe. They don't genuinely believe everything they say. Or do I think they're just shady opportunists? Yes, they are shady opportunists. That is what they are. That is their whole shtick. They are shady opportunists. That's what they do. Chances your top five when I do my decade list not being the 5/10s. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. There might be a few albums that maybe I retroactively make a 10. Could happen. But the top 5 might just end up being the 10s. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what the chances are, but I guess there is a chance. Am I going to review the new Daime Erosina EP? Oh, does she have a new EP out? That's pretty cool. I'll look that up. But that sounds promising. You reviewed the Polyphia album, but no love for Chan. Yeah, I just think Chan is basically the smooth jazz of progressive rock, and I don't get it at all. I just don't get it at all. I talked about it in a Why You Know review. They're basically the Kenny G of rock music, and I think it's boring. I don't get the point of it. I don't see the appeal in it. I think it's... Let's put it this way. A review would not be a very positive review. It would be ripped to shreds. And I would just rather review something else. I'm sorry if that hurts, but just enjoy it without me. Favorite skin color? That's a gross question. Have I heard the new See You Space Cowboy track? Also, no, I have not, but I'll put that in my, let me see. See You Space Cowboy. I'll remind myself to go try it out. Space Cowboy. Is Cal going to start wearing the infinity flannel? I guess we'll see, maybe. Have I ever bought a record twice by accident, or yes, I did. I actually bought a copy of the new Shoo Shoo album, even though I got sent a copy of it for free. So yeah, I literally have done that. 2 questions for Anthony. Could you review my album once it's out? It's a full length. I don't know. I haven't heard the record. I don't know what it sounds like. I don't know if it's good. If it's bad, I'm not going to sit here and promise to review a bad album from some person who popped up in my stream. That's not going to happen. And would I ever review Alice Chains or Pink Floyd discography? A Pink Floyd worst to best is most likely going to happen. But if you want me to hear your album and you want a shot, anthony@theneedledrop.com is my email. And, I try out a good deal of the pitches people send me if they don't look like shit. Key bit of advice here when putting something in my email that you want me to try out. Don't just send me a long email asking me if I want to try out your record and then not leave a link to your music. That's just a waste of everyone's time. Like, just be short, to the point, and just leave a link to the music. You know what I mean? Like, even a short email with no link to any music is not going to get any engagement. So actually provide a link to your music. Thank you. I know and agree with a lot of your opinions on modern Eminem, but what is your quick opinion on his first 3 records? His first 2 records are rather, Slim Shady and the Marshall Mathers LP. are classics. After that, when things start to go downhill, it's the Eminem show, and then it just really kind of starts getting terrible from there. And, there's some cool tracks off of Relapse and everything, but yeah, the discography just gets rougher and rougher, in my view. Limp Bizkit should be revisited as one of the greats ever. I highly disagree. Also, what do I think of ICP? I think The Great Malenko is a very fun album, and I think they have some records from back in the day that are worth revisiting. Why is their influence so overlooked? I don't think they're that influential, honestly. I fail to see who they're really influential to, outside of artists who are obviously sort of in the Juggalo camp. You know what I mean? Artists who would typically play something like a Gathering. But I personally don't see how deep and wide their influence is. I mean, I would love to see maybe a list or some suggestions of people who you guys know I love, who ICP may have influenced. I mean, I know there's some artists who I like who fuck with ICP, like Danny Brown. I know he fucks with ICP. But I don't know how much of my favorite artists they've really truly influenced, honestly. Colm Wilson, ow! Thank you for the 20. Thoughts on this next wave of rock stuff right now? Culture Abuse, Empath, Chastity. The Culture Abuse I thought was okay. The Empath, I think I've heard. The Chastity, I think I've just heard the name and I haven't heard their music. And I mean, I don't quite get... I mean, look, there's a lot of good rock stuff out there right now, but I don't quite get what, in your view, makes you sort of like lump these three bands together. You know what I mean? I personally, again, I don't know. There are a lot of rock bands out there right now, some of which are kind of good, and you could say are on like a bit of a, I don't know, a trend or something. Like there are a lot of cool Australian psych rock bands out there, and there are some groups out there that are kind of doing the beach thing or the Mac DeMarco thing, but I don't quite get what makes you sort of lump these three groups together, honestly. I would have to maybe listen to their stuff more to find that out, but I think there's some good rock music out there right now that's new. Cool shirt, Tony. Thank you. It's an old Caltricista black metal shirt. Will Stauber, thank you very much. Mark, with how relevant Minecraft is right now, you should actually consider reviewing the soundtrack. Okay, I'll think about it. I know we review a lot of death metal, but what's your opinion on deathcore? Generally, I think it's kind of a niche, one-dimensional genre, not as interesting or as dynamic as death metal, but it does have some solid releases, and there are some newer records, like the new Fuming Mouth record, that have like definitely some good ideas and some promise and everything. Let me, oh shit, I'm actually like really fucking up here majorly, and like talking about fucking, I'm a fucking idiot. A few minutes left, everybody. Blur, Worst to Best. No chance of that happening anytime soon. Also, Modern Life was rubbish to their best album. Okay, I'm not gonna argue with that. Very underrated band. Get overshadowed with their battle with Oasis. People look over Poppy's music because of her persona and videos. I think her next album coming later, she would be able to... Yeah, I think Poppy's definitely on like an upward trajectory of goodness. I think her stuff just kind of gets better and better. So I think her next record, she could really knock it out of the park. Am I still set on my review of 22 A Million? Yes. And what are my feelings toward the new BI album? Given their singles so far, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think the new Justin Vernon works have been a little hit or miss, but I've been more impressed with the tracks I've liked a lot from him than some of his other recent stuff. So, could be good. Could be good. Thoughts on Marianne Williamson? Am I down with the Orb Gang? I'm a little Orb Gang for the meme. And I think that Marianne Williamson is open to a lot of positive ideas, but there's a lot of stuff in her past and sort of her views of health and spirituality that to me are just kind of batshit insane. So I don't really know how seriously we should be taking her. Worst to best Black Sabbath and my opinions of them. I mean, that's kind of hard because you're talking about different eras with different lead singers and everything, where the band was making like wildly different music. You know what I mean? But still, Black Sabbath review for Classics Week would probably be good if I haven't already done one. Patrick CC, ow! I just want to say you're a huge inspiration. Well, Patrick, wow, fuck. Thank you for the incredibly generous 50 there. 5-0 spot. And I'm happy to be inspiring you. Hey, Anthony, purely in terms of freestyling ability, which rappers would make your top 5? Thanks, and a big fan of your channel. Jeez, I mean, I'd probably say like in freestyling ability. I mean, I know Big L has some amazing fucking freestyles from back in the day. So Big L is probably in there. Nas in his prime is probably in there. Biggie in his prime is probably in there. Black Thought is definitely in there too. I mean, those are several off the top of my head. I can't name them all. Whoops. I'm going to try to get through these last few. Was I a fan of Atari Teenage Riot? Yes, back in high school and college, I definitely was, and I love that their influence is felt in recent artists like Death Grips. I recently made a playlist for hiking. It has music from Peanuts, The Cranberries, Eminem. I call it my trail mix. Aw, that's cute. Make sure to get some Creedence in there too. Creedence Clearwater Revival. Am I going to review the new Sophie album, the remix album? People are telling me it's crazy, so I don't know. I haven't told myself to give it a try yet, but I will try it this week. What's my favorite Bjork song from when she was in the Sugar Cubes? Oh God, I'm not that deep into the Sugar Cube stuff. I find a lot of it kind of boring, honestly. But they're not a terrible band. You know, I much prefer her, what was it? What the hell was that other band that she was in, that like sort of experimental anarcho band that she was in that was on Crass's label? Was it Cook or something? Cook? I can't remember the name of the band, but I kind of prefer that of her earlier stuff. With the new Have a Nice Life album coming soon, am I excited? I'm excited about it. Yes, I did love their last record. So is there anything I'm wanting to see from it? Maybe more shoegaze stuff? I don't know. Nothing in particular. I just want it to be good. Kind of sounding new too. I want to start producing hip hop, but I'm a bit confused with how it's made. Do I need FL Studio or to make Kanye quality? Do I need FL Studio to make Kanye quality beats, or is there more equipment necessary? You need to decide whether or not you want to work with hardware or software, because, there's some good samplers and beat machines out there that are amazing, but, DAWs are pretty dynamic, but some of them don't really have a particular sound. You know what I mean? It's a big fucking question. It's a big question. And I don't know where exactly to start you. I would ask yourself okay, I'm going to get to the next question and say this. Find out what kind of beats you want to make, and then try to look into how those beats are made and research that. And then maybe that'll put you on the path. Fred Durst's is good, if not better than Kendrick. Fuck you. I will get to this $100 one. Holy shit, thank you. 10 Ben, thank you very much. Paul, ow! What are my thoughts on the Adrian Belew era of King Crimson? I love a retrospective review of Discipline, Beat, or Thrack. I don't think I've gotten deep into that era. King Crimson. Okay, out of that era, yes. Out of that era, I prefer Red. If that isn't even considered in that era, I don't know. I know Beat I'm not really that into. But I much prefer the early stuff, the first several records. But Red and some of the funky ass bass lines off of Discipline are like definitely a precursor to like Les Claypool and all that kind of shit, and I definitely like appreciate it for that. But I'm not as deep into that shit as I am sort of their early works. But I do agree it probably is worth covering at some point, considering how vastly different it is in style and tone, when compared to the first leg of the band's career. Let's see. We worship at the altar of Jay Dilla and ignore Madlib. No, you can love both. You can love both of them. Reed K. Wow. Holy shit. Thank you for sending in $100. That is majorly appreciated. And this will be the last one that I do, because it is 2:00 now and I do have to get to working on the Rich Brian review. Thank you for the amazing channel. Really helped me get into music and start listening to full albums. What are my thoughts on the evolution of rap? Where do I think it's headed? Also, why do I think there is so much animosity between old and new school rap fans? I think because rap has very much been an insular genre for a long time, and people who came up in the genre remember it being a certain way, and they want to maintain that culture and keep it safe from outside influence because they want it to be this thing that they've always known and loved and also helped build. You know what I mean? When a dude like Lord Jamar is like gatekeeping and talking about, you know, how rap needs to be this way and these people talking about this can't be invited into the genre, and, you know, we're talking about the house of hip hop here. That's partially because dudes like him literally helped build the foundation upon which all of this we're enjoying now sits. So you do have to kind of understand that mindset coming from a dude like him and sort of, you know, respect that it comes from a logical place for him. You know, he's not just saying it out of bitterness or to be mean or to be angry. He's saying it because of his experience and because of what it took to get hip hop to where it is today. But having said all that, that's where a lot of the animosity comes from. And the evolution I see currently, if hip hop is anywhere comparatively, I think it's kind of in, but also simultaneously starting to move out of where rock might have been in the 80s with its punk, with its hair metal and hard rock. And now we might be moving into a slightly darker, more depressive kind of grunge type era forward. And I think that there have been artists who have represented that to a degree, like X and like Lil Peep. And obviously, you know, their lives and careers were tragically cut short. But I think, considering how beloved they are amongst younger listeners, I think it's only a matter of time before we hear a new wave of artists who are essentially coming at that angle, you know, and sort of bring rap into a more, I guess, emotionally sensitive and dark path is what I'll say. Dice Records is my favorite label right now. The releases alone seem to keep the new wave, dark wave industrial scene thriving. I haven't heard of the label, so that's why I don't cover their stuff, but I will try it out based off of this recommendation. Popped into my phone. Not into this era of new wave. There are some newer new wave artists that I find incredibly boring and just kind of like, you know, just doing some weird revivalism shit that I don't think is that significant to the genre as a whole. Oh, look at the chat. The chat's just going sex. That makes sense. I appreciate that. But look, all revivalism you need to take with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Like, not all of it is good. There's quite a bit of bad revivalism out there. And I think I'm just going to leave it at that. All right, guys. You're the best. You're the best. You're the best. You're the best. R.I.P. Joe Rogan. Rest in peace, dude. We will miss you greatly. Drop your opinion on Turn on the Bright Lights real quick. I think it's a great post-punk revival record. I think it's a good indie record. I don't think it's one of the best rock records of the decade or anything, but it is a very good album, very enjoyable. And I do own a copy of it myself, so, you know, can't really hate. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it. I think that's going to do it for this one. Thank you very much for coming through. Thank you very much for sitting down and having fun. I apologize to anybody's questions, thoughts on the Cranberries. They have some good classic songs. We loved their tracks from the 90s. If I missed your shit and, you know, you paid like $10 or some shit like that and I missed it, you know, you can always hit me up, anthony@theneedledrop.com. Show me like a screenshot of your question and I'll try to get it to you, you know, in like an email response. And hope you guys have a good one. I'm going to go work on the Rich Brian review and rest my voice a little bit. You're the best, you're the best, you're the best, best, best forever.